Have you ever felt unqualified for something God was calling you to do? Maybe you've wondered, why me? Or I'm not good enough. That's exactly how Moses felt when God spoke to him from a burning bush. In Exodus 3, we find Moses far from the palace, living an ordinary life as a shepherd in the desert. But in that quiet, ordinary place, God appeared to him in an extraordinary way through a bush that was on fire, yet not consumed. This story reminds us that God meets us where we are, calls us by name, and empowers us to do what we think we cannot. The story. After fleeing Egypt for killing an Egyptian, Moses settled in Midian, married Zipporah, and tended the flocks of his father-in-law, Jethro. One day, while leading the sheep near Mount Horeb, he saw a bush that burned but did not burn up. Curious, he went closer. And that's when everything changed.
When the Lord saw that he had gone over to look, God called to him from within the bush, "Moses, Moses." And Moses said, "Here I am."
God told him to remove his sandals, for he was standing on holy ground. Then God revealed his plan, to deliver the Israelites from slavery in Egypt, and he wanted Moses to be his messenger.
"Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh?"
And God answered with the most comforting words anyone could hear.
"I will be with you."
Reflection and lessons. God appears in ordinary moments. Moses wasn't in a temple or on a throne. He was tending sheep. Yet God met him there. This shows us that God often speaks in the ordinary rhythms of our lives, in the quiet, the routine, and even the wilderness. Sometimes we expect to meet God only in big emotional moments, but often he calls to us in the stillness of daily life. The key is to notice, to stop, and to listen, just as Moses did. For youth, God can speak to you in your studies, your friendships, or your daily thoughts, not just at church. For adults, God can meet you in your workplace, your home, or your struggles. Anywhere you are willing to pause and listen. When we take time to notice the burning bushes around us, those moments that stir our spirit, we may hear God's voice calling our name. 2. God calls imperfect people for his perfect purposes. Moses had a painful past. He was a murderer, a runaway, and a man with doubts. Yet God still called him. This teaches us that God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called.
And God said, "I will be with you."
God's answer didn't focus on Moses' weakness, but on his own strength. When God calls you, he already knows your flaws, fears, and failures. He isn't looking for perfection. He's looking for willingness. For youth, don't think you're too young or too inexperienced to be used by God. For adults, don't let your past mistakes or feelings of inadequacy stop you from saying yes. If God can use a shepherd with a stutter to lead a nation, he can use you to make a difference where you are. 3. God's presence is greater than our fear. When Moses worried about going back to Egypt, God gave him the promise of his presence.
"I will be with you."
Yet God didn't remove the challenge. He assured Moses that he wouldn't face it alone. This truth is still powerful today. Whatever God calls you to, whether it's forgiving someone, sharing your faith, leading a ministry, or simply enduring a hard season, his presence goes before you. For both youth and adults, courage isn't the absence of fear. It's trusting that God is with you in it. When you say, "I can't," God says, "I am." And that leads us to the next point. 4. I am WHO, I am. God reveals his name and nature. When Moses asked what he should tell the Israelites if they questioned him, God said,
"I am who I am." Exodus 3:14.
This name, Yahweh, means that God is eternal, self-existent, and unchanging. He is everything we need in every situation.
When we are weak, he says, "I am your strength." When we are afraid, he says, "I am your peace." When we are uncertain, he says, "I am faithful."
God was revealing that his presence is constant in Moses' day, in ours, and forever. The story of the burning bush is more than a miracle. It's a moment of divine calling. Moses went from hiding in the desert to standing before Pharaoh because he finally said yes to God. Maybe God is calling you too, to step out, to speak up, to trust Him in a new way. You might feel unready or unworthy, but remember, the same God who called Moses calls you, and He promises to go with you. So when you face your own burning bush moment, don't look away. Take off your sandals, open your heart, and listen. Because holy ground isn't just in the desert. It's wherever God meets you. Key takeaway points. God often speaks in the ordinary moments of life. God calls imperfect people to do His perfect work. God's presence gives us courage to face our fears. I Am reminds us that God is everything we need, always. Closing reflection, thought. Moses' story began with excuses but ended with obedience. Yours can too. When you say, "Here I am," God turns your desert into a destiny. The Lord will go before you. He will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Deuteronomy 31:8.